Welcome everyone to the Cybergamer Pro League Finals, with of course the top two teams offered the last two pro spots into the Riot Winter Round of 8. I am of course Max Atlus Anderson, and I am joined today by the lovely Brad Superficial Allen, who I affectionately know as Lord Fabulous. Welcome friend, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Max. I'm really ready to see some good games tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, all of these matches tonight are going to be a best of one, and the grand final is going to be a slanted best of three, with a $1,500 prize pool, and as well these qualification spots. It's going to be a massive event. Also, the top two teams who have not yet qualified into the Winter Round of 8 will receive a qualification position, with seeding to be decided by the position in the bracket, or in the case of a draw, a best of one game. Of course, the first match is going to be Avant Garde Ascension taking on Team Immunity, what I would believe to be a potential grand final match. Of course, this is the upper bracket in round 2, so potentially it could be the grand final, even if one of these teams do come away with a win right now. Of course, Swiper let us know that he has a few fears of Avant Garde Ascension, but the bans are already coming through thick and fast. And let's have a look. We've got Yasuo, Morgana, Lulu being banned away on the side of Team Immunity. And of course, Jax and Kha'Zix already being taken away from Avant Garde Ascension. Anything that you've seen here that's a little bit interesting? All of this stuff seems pretty standard to me, apart from, you know, Yasuo, of course, being targeted on choo-choos.
Well, actually, I was just about to mention, so far these are all pretty sort of standard bans for the teams that we're seeing today, especially in this match. It's all the strong picks, strong players on their best champions. And...
oh my goodness. We do have a first pick Kassadin here though, leaving Choo-Choo's able to pick up that Zed that he completely destroyed a Kassadin on just recently. I could imagine that could be potentially coming through. Swiffer more than happy to play that one though, even into this harsh matchup. And we haven't actually seen Swiffer versus Choo-Choo's on that Zed, so we'll see whether this comes through differently. Of course, Lucian and Elise being taken away straight away. Of course, Carbon not being able to hop on that Kha'Zix is going to be able to pick up his Elise as soon as possible. Still putting that champion up at a pretty high priority level.
Yeah, pretty much. Elise, I think it's more her kit, not her numbers, that were always the big problem with her. The Cocoon, the Repel, she just brings so much to ganking and even team fights as well. I'd be always surprised to see what they'd have to do to change her to make her not such a high competitive pick.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Of course, her Cocoon doesn't quite stun for as long, but I think, you know, 2 seconds at max rank is definitely going to be enough, let's be honest. And we've got Spooks and Swiffer just hovering around a few different champions now, not quite managing to make up their minds just yet. Spooks thinking about an Evelynn, and Swiffer thinking about putting in a Shyvana pick up there. Of course, Swiper is an avid Shyvana player. In the Autumn Round of 8, I think he played 100% Shyvana. So it makes sense for them to pick up that particular champion.
Shyvana's another champion right now. It's just ridiculously strong. I'm a little surprised to see her not banned, but I suppose there's a couple of things that they do need to ban. Jax is ridiculous. Yasuo is ridiculous. Like, it's just so much that needs to be banned in this current meta is the best way to put it, I guess.
Yeah, no, that really is true. And Zed actually being hovered over here by Choo-Choo's, thinking that he might go for that potential counter pick, and Leona being locked in. Zed has been locked. I'm so excited, Brad. We are going to be able to get that Zed versus Kassadin mid lane matchup. We'll see whether Immunity managed to switch something around. They might chuck a duo lane in mid, but last time I saw this matchup, it was just all about Zed. Of course, with the changes coming through to Kassadin, makes it so difficult for him in that mid lane against these physical damage opponents.
Especially, and he doesn't have the silence to lean back on anymore. That was always his one saving grace versus Zed. Silence him when he's got his ult on you. He can't really do anything other than auto attack you and like flap his little shurikens at you.
His shuriken wings. Glorious. We do have a Vel'Koz hover here for Venom. I wouldn't actually put that past him, although I feel like it may just be a little bit of a troll. Oh, the Zillion has been left up though. And Venom bringing that one out at Supernova was absolutely amazing to see. People claiming that one to be a troll pickup, and obviously it was not, although he has reverted back to a Fiddlesticks and a Kale being locked in as well. Please, Brad, explain what is going on. This team comp, please help.
I guess the best way I can say it is immunity. Try anything they can, see what they can get away with. It's going to be a really fun game to watch.
It's going to be absolutely insane. Twitch and potentially Kale? Is it going to be Kale jungle though? Is it going to be Kale support. I mean, we've seen that as well. N-Rated picked that one up over in EU quite a few times. Fiddlestick support did receive a few nerfs to that fear, and of course the fear making people run in the one direction now is a little bit more difficult to deal with, apart from as a Fiddlesticks, just because you don't have people walking around in weird directions.
Yeah,
and we do have the Rise lock-in coming through for Avant Garde Ascension, so really, really powerful lineup for those guys, but Team Immunity's lineup looks just completely crazy.
I guess they've always had a kind of a good grasp of what's good coming up. They've always been kind of the innovators of the scene. That's basically another reason why they're always ahead of like their competition, I guess.
No, that really, really is true. How do you think about this this top lane matchup though? If we're going to go through them, Swiper on that Varna versus Sandra Sully, which is of course Rusty from EV. Unfortunately, Minky Well unable to attend today. We are going to have, of course, the mid laner in through to that top lane. Of course, Ryze being really strong up there, and of course, Ryze being a champion that many mid laners know how to play. I think it's an intelligent pickup, but we'll see how Rusty goes in the mid lane, in the top lane, because we haven't seen him there for so long.
Well, Rusty's a very experienced player. He's been
yeah,
from the dawn of time, basically.
And you would know. You would know, Captain Brad Allen. You'd understand.
And he's dabbled in basically every single role. I've seen him play competitively, so I think won't exactly be up home there, but he'll be comfortable.
No, he really, really will. I think the first time I saw him playing, he was playing a lot of AD, then moved, of course, over to that mid lane position. He was probably the best Gragas that I had ever seen in Oceania when we were over on the NA servers, so able to predict people's movements so incredibly effectively. So we'll see whether he manages to bring out the same sort of mechanics here on Ryze. Of course, Ryze more of a I'm going to press every button into your face type champion, so not going to really worry too much about mechanics, but it's about positioning with Ryze as well.
Exactly, and you really need to utilize your ult. You can't just use it offensively constantly, especially not anymore. The movement speed is massive. I think it's 80 movement speed, rank 1. That's ridiculous. You can catch basically anyone.
Yeah, you really, really can. So we'll see whether he can use that. Of course, Swiper does have access to that burnout, and of course, Dragon's Descent being massive in order to close distance. But as a Shyvana, you're going to be lacking that CC, so having that extended duration movement speed buff is going to be really, really effective. Of course, Rusty picking up the Ignite here in the top lane. Of course, now that Spectator Delay is off, we can have a look at these summoner spells. And Ignite versus Teleport, I do not necessarily feel like Ignite was the best decision to be made here, because although you can put a lot of pressure on the lane, having that Dragon presence is going to be really, really important.
I really agree with you there, Max. I've just seen teleport every single game lately.
Every game, yeah.
I'm not too sure why he took the Ignite over a teleport, especially on Ryze. It's almost key on Ryze.
Yeah, that's the thing, and you know, a lot of people pick up that Ignite when they want to definitely dominate the lane. Like things like Renekton are going to be picking that one up because they want to make sure they can get these early kills, really start the snowball in their favor and try and dominate their opponent, but that's not something you necessarily see coming out of a Ryze. I mean, he is going to be able to Rune Prison Swiper up and try and get him off the minion wave, but I feel like Swipe is just going to try and shove and shove and shove and not spend too much time in the face of this Ryze anyway.
Well, you have to realize Swipe's going to be able to push the lane and then teleport out of there. Ryze has to use his ult to push, and then even then when he gets to the tower, it's not a whole lot of damage coming out of him. He doesn't have the AP on the damage on the tower. He doesn't have the AD. He just has mana. Yeah,
not to mention the fact that he can't interrupt the teleport either, so not going to be necessarily a fantastic boon for him, but you do have 4 more spots to go through. Spooks is on this Kale in the jungle though. Do we think that's going to be a Feral Flare?
I'm not too sure where he's going to go with it, to be honest. You can kind of go either way, a Spirit of the Elder Lizard or a Feral Flare. I think it'll be Feral Flare, but you never know with these guys.
Yeah, and Carbon on the very standard Elise, wanting to get that early pressure down, which could be handy here in this top lane with the presence of the Ignite. I mean, that might be some synergy that they're trying to go for. And this is the matchup that I really want to talk about, though. Kassadin versus Zed. We've mentioned it already, and so excited to see Choo Choo's. He's fantastic on anyone that has anything to do with poke or assassination. He is just a god, and his Zed, the last time I saw it, was unbelievable. I think he went back, completed a full Blade of the Ruined King after having an incredible farming phase, and then proceeded to kill everyone. Then buying a Last Whisper outright, and then a Black Cleaver outright after that. So never really ineffectively going back to base. Always managed to finish off these big items, and he was an absolute monster. So we are, of course, onto the loading screen. What do you feel about this matchup? Do you think that Swiffer has any chance at all?
I'm not too sure. I don't think you can count Swiffer just out because
No, you can't.
I basically wanted to say this is basically Clash of the Titans in mid lane.
Oh yeah.
Swiffer's probably one of the top players on the whole server, and then you have Choo Choo's, which is also amazing in the mid lane. I don't know who I can give this to. I honestly don't know.
And this, of course, everyone, if you're not familiar, is Superficial, who definitely knows who's strong in this mid lane, being such a proficient mid laner himself, playing for Avant Garde Redemption for so incredibly long. And you've played against both of these guys. You understand that they're both really strong, and man, I'm just really excited to see what happens in this mid lane. Of course, the bottom lane's going to be Twitch Fiddlesticks versus Gymnast on his all-time favorite Leona and Lucian in the hands of Cardred. This is going to be an interesting bottom lane if we manage to get it. Of course, there could definitely be these 2-0 split. Oh, actually, are we on 4.7? Well, I think we're on 4.7 now, aren't we?
I'm not too sure, actually.
I think the patch went through today, so of course now all of the turrets having a little bit more fence and a whole lot of different things coming through. Not too many champion changes to necessarily worry about, but the trinkets also coming up after 30 seconds is going to be absolutely massive for early vision. So we're going to see a very, very different early game coming through. And of course, these teams had no time to practice on this particular patch. So we're going to be able to see the innovation coming out almost instantly from these guys.
Exactly. It's going to be really, really amazing to see what they come up with here.
Yeah, of course, as you can see, those timers really scrolling down very, very quickly. Only another 10 seconds until they can place those wards down, so they'll be able to get a lot of defensive positioning around their own buffs, try and get some wards in the river as well. You can see everyone sort of beelining for Team Avant Garde, as Immunity just going to try and spread out and get as much vision covering this river as possible. They don't want any funny business going on early on in this game.
I actually wanted to touch on the bottom lane. I'm going to have to give this bottom lane to AVA. I really like Lucian Leona. Really like it.
And Morgana was available. I'm really interested in seeing why Venom picked up Fiddlesticks instead, just because that Black Shield is just monstrously good against Leona. Even though, I mean, there is outplay potential just because you are in a duo situation, so whoever gets the shield doesn't get the stun, that sort of factor, but I just feel like that Black Shield, if used so correctly, and Venom is just a fantastic Morgana player anyway, it could be one of those things that could be really, really effective. But as we can see, the wards are coming through thick and fast. Of course, everyone on the side of Avant Garde Ascension has almost placed theirs. We've only got 2 more available, whereas Team Immunity only managing to put down 1 so far. Maybe just wondering, oh, why is this off cooldown, man? What's going on? Now, all of a sudden, managing to get all their wards out. And as we can see, we're just going to have a normal laning phase. So moving away from that 4-0 split, I'm very, very excited.
Yes. I was really dreading the 4v0, honestly. It's kind of counterproductive to how the game really should be played and watched, really.
Yeah, it makes for a really stale early game.
It really does. And the amount of gold that it pushes onto one team early on. It's good, right? It's done a good job with this.
Yeah, they really, really have. So we're going to have an actual laning phase. We had to see Choo Choo's and Swiffer are already taking a bit of auto attack harass. Does manage to get a few force pulses out, but this is going to be a very, very difficult lane for him. As we can see, Choo Choo's already shoving up really, really hard. And one thing that Kassadin has always struggled with is farming under his tower.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm a little worried for the Kassadin once 6 happens. If he can reach 6 at the exact same time, he'll be okay, but I have a really bad feeling that Swiffer's going to have to go back earlier.
Yeah, that's true. And then when that Deathmark comes in before the Riftwalk is available, it's going to make things very, very hard. Of course, Team Immunity have opted to lane swap here. The Rise versus Shyvana matchup not going to be coming through, and we've got the buddy system coming out of Team Immunity. They've got Swiper just following Spooks around to all of these camps. That's 3 camps so far that I think that they've just been hanging out together with. Of course, Swiper only level 1 at this point, is going to be hitting level 2 off these rates, I would believe. And sharing the camp, sharing the experience is a bit cute.
It's the power of friendship, Max.
It's exactly right. It's beautiful. Chuchu's taking a fair bit of harass here. Now that level 3 has come through, of course, Swiffer is going to be able to augment those auto attacks as well. Try and manage to get a few more of these last hits under the turret. But as we can see already, 10 to 15, 5 CS up. That's a 33% advantage. Or actually a 50% advantage if we're talking about purely the advantage point. Things going well for Choo-Choo's. We'll see whether he can pressure this lead even more though. Carbon now coming up to just help out Rusty in this top lane. Of course, Sandra Sully being his Smurf account for those playing at home. It's a little bit difficult. Spook's also coming down to help out Swiper here as the creeps crash into the turret. And who do you think's really won out this early game? Just the buddy system versus hanging around in that lane trying to get as much experience as possible?
Well, you have the power of friendship versus the power of hate, really. I really want to give it to the power of friendship. I'm a big fan of the buddy system. And I think that they probably got more out of that than AVA did out of this whole sort of situation. I got to give it to Immunity for that little, I call it a play, just a little dance that happened.
Little nuance around the map, and getting down to that bottom lane after perfectly going through that jungle. Oh, Carbon taking a lot of damage, forced to repel out. Radiant also so incredibly low. Ignite is ticking, instantly flashes away. The auto attack from Fiddlesticks finishes off first blood. And wow, Radiant managing to escape as well. So close in that top lane.
And that was just, it was painful to watch, Max. It was painful to watch. That flash auto from the Fiddlesticks, oh my gosh.
Yeah, unfortunately, not being able to survive comes down from the repel. The Ignite still ticking. Some lots of damage coming down onto Swiffer, and he's completely out of mana at this point too. At the mercy of Choo-Choo's now in this middle lane.
And you're going to see KO come up over here, try and maybe relieve this pressure. And really zoning him off that tower there. And this is what I was talking about.
Oh, actually, Choo-Choo's coming through. The Ignite is ticking down. Swiffer's taking a lot of damage. There's the flash from Spooks trying to get his damage down in response. And Swiffer didn't go down. I'm not entirely sure how, but the ward's being placed. Choo-Choo's now in a bit of trouble. Carbon's here, though. Are they going to be able to turn this one around? Cocoon does land. There's the Q. Lots of damage coming from Carbon. But Venom has roamed down. He's got double buffs on that Fiddlesticks, representing England. Fantastic. Just running down, yelling, "For England!" as he gets down that river. Oh my goodness.
And actually, I just want to touch on the Fiddlesticks up top lane. Him having double buffs, he can probably almost 1v1 that Rise right now, regardless if Radier's there or not. That is terrifying.
And because of the amount that Rusty's also been zoned off his turret as well, I mean, you could imagine that it's more like a mid lane matchup of Rise versus Fiddlesticks. Pretty standard, am I right?
Exactly, and you actually got to notice, Venom is a level higher than Rise.
And that is just ridiculous. The support player is a level higher than the top lane. That's not what you generally expect. But in these lane sort situations, things like that can happen. Swiffer nicely dodging away from a lot of Choo-Choo's aggression here in the mid lane. Does have that Rift Walk almost available, but now has a healthy health lead as well. So as we can see, now that there are more points being put in to this queue, and those auto attacks now do a lot of damage. Of course, Cassidy going to be scaling fantastically into that late game as well. Does have that tier available. Ooh, Rift walks in now that it's available and able to get the pressure down. So this not going the way that I was necessarily expecting, because Choo-Choo's last time he was against Cassidy just ate that one up. And Deathmark is available. We'll see whether he decides to go for anything.
And Swiffer's going to have to be really careful here. Choose your Rift Walk very wisely, friend.
Oh, yeah. You can see now, I mean, he was spamming that one out before just a little bit. Now been sitting back, making sure that he has it for defensive purposes as soon as that Deathmark comes through, which I think is intelligent.
Exactly, he doesn't want to jump in here. He just kind of bide his time, farm up alongside the Zed, and just really wait for some sort of pressure to come from Spooks.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, Spooks is making his way down. Of course, both junglers now heading towards this middle lane. Spooks just warding up. He's going to head back, and they can see the fact that Carbon is here waiting for the gank as well.
Doesn't look like we're going to see too much action here in the mid lane. It's a bit more of a farm fest. Oh, KO get there, catches the Zed.
Oh, Choo-Choo's actually gets slowed up here by the Q coming through. In the meantime, we've got a Crowstorm in the top lane, and that's going to be Sandra Sully going down, and the mid lane kill coming through as well. Spooks picking up that one. all across the map, the aggression going down here for Immunity, and this means massively, massively dangerous things for Avant Garde Ascension, because this is a Kassadin that now has the edge over a Zed early on.
Exactly, and you're going to see this top tower most likely go down. Bot lane's going to rotate back down there, and oh, actually, you're going to see AVA's bot lane rotate back up here to answer this.
Yeah, do you think that was a little bit too late though? Because that top tower has gone down. Of course, AVA have moved their bot lane towards the middle, but it looked like they were heading top trying to get the defense on, but it just wasn't enough.
Well, I've really got to give it to Immunity here. That was the lane swap really worked out for them pretty much exactly as they planned. The Leona could have really went in on the Fiddlesticks early on, kind of made some pressure, but I'm not sure why AVA didn't swap early on.
Yeah,
I really wanted that 1v1.
A little bit of a misplay there, I guess, and Pink Ward is going to go down. It looks to me like Immunity wanting to try and get some dragon pressure. Of course, 9 minutes into this game, fairly standard timing for that dragon to at least be considered. With an Elise on Avant Garde Ascension side, having some early vision down there, it would also be fantastic just because she can tank them up so easily with those little spiderlings. Choo Choo's now taking a bit of damage from Spooks. Spooks with the Spirit Stone, actually, so going for an Elder Lizard, not wanting to try and farm up that Feral Flare. Of course, it was nerfed a little bit in the 4.7 patch, so not quite as strong as it was before. So getting the safety of the Spirit item, not expecting this game to go to the massive late game, and especially when he wants to be adding so much pressure, as he already has in this game.
Yeah, that's very true. So Max, right now, if you were in AVA's position, what would you want to do?
To be perfectly honest, I think it's consolidate, try and calm this game down, because right now they're just losing control. Spooks has been caught though. This could be exactly what they need. The intervention comes through, but not enough. Spooks gets taken down. The rat-a-tat, Radiant actually flashing forward. The culling coming through. Radiant very, very low. Does manage to finish off Carbon. Gymnast and Cardred now get the damage down. Radiant falls, but Cardred, is it going to be the last auto? The flash auto again coming through from Venom. The fear comes down onto Gymnast. And Venom just going to wander on out of there. This Fiddlesticks with his auto attacks is a monster.
Fiddlesticks killing spree. What else do you need to say?
Ridiculous.
I swear, you're going to see Venom bringing out the 20-minute Rabadons.
Yep, I have a feeling that could happen. I think maybe one of the Zoni's Hourglass, just to try and get those Crow Storms with the golden fiddle, just hanging out in the middle of everything. Very nice Flame Breath, manages to pick up the big golem there. Swiper, and he's just going to gone out and see if he can finish off some more items. 45 to 55 CS here in the top lane, so Rusty doing a decent job trying to stay up, even though he has fallen early on in this matchup. We'll see whether he manages to scale through to this later end of the game, because of course Rise just a monster when it comes to the late game, but Kassadin now with those changes, hitting that power spike at almost the level 18 mark. Crowstorm coming through. Gymnast does get the ward down, but it might be a little bit too late. Venom cast comes through as well. The stun comes down onto Venom. He's getting focused. Gymnast now falls. Venom is very, very low, but he's not. Oh, there it is. The double buffs being fully transferred all around to everyone almost. 3 people managing to pick that one up. Choo Choo's now in that mid lane, does get ignited. Interesting, Dragon's Den coming down onto Sandra Sola here in the top lane as well. Action all across this map. Swiper is going fairly low. Rusty's almost out of mana, but he does have a fair bit. Has popped that ultimate. We'll see whether the burnout damage is enough. Flashes across into the other wall. And there's the follow-up flash from Swiper. The Duke shoes are on. We'll see who can win this one. Almost no mana now.
And he's out of mana.
Burnout is available. And there it is, Swiper finishes off the kill. There's the advantage of being resourceless. In the meantime, Swiffer being taken down to almost nothing in the middle lane, and Carbon now being discovered in the bottom lane as well. Radia with these double buffs in no man's land actually, almost gets caught out, but that ambush is available, is going to be able to stealth up and get out of there. And my gosh, so much action everywhere on this map.
You sound like you need a little bit of a breath there, Max.
I think I do.
And you're just seeing Immunity perfectly executing so much pressure everywhere, catching people where they need to catch them.
Oh, here's Venom actually coming through the mid lane, doesn't manage to get the fear in range, but Radia here, the submarine stealth. See whether he can get anything done, but no, he's not going to be able to make it before
and
that
AVA
stealth
picks
runs out.
up the dragon. I'm not sure what Immunity were really doing there with that pressure in mid lane. There wasn't a ward on dragon, AVA picked it up, that's what they need to do.
Yeah, really, really well played, and utilizing the fact that they have this tiny little advantage. Choo Choo's picking up that tower in the mid lane, forcing Immunity to respond. And then using that time just to get Elise down there. And Elise just so much dragon damage as well.
Exactly, that percentage damage really just chunks it down really, really quickly.
Yeah, but as we can see, it's actually a Spirit of the Spectral Wraith coming through from Spooks. So going to be getting a little bit more ability power. Of course, the unique passive now grants 2 ability power per larger epic monster up to 30. So not too bad. Deathmark coming through. Radiant actually getting popped up here. Very nice move back, but the Divine Intervention comes through exactly the right time, and now we're seeing exactly why this KO was picked up. Perfectly countering out that Deathmark damage, and Radius surviving that engagement with no worries at all. Choo Choo's going down. That is brilliant coming out of Immunity.
Exactly, and now they're going to be able to really shove in on this mid tower. And I'm a little scared here for AVA to get basically a perfect catch onto the Twitch.
Yeah, and what is coming out now as well is exactly what Team Immunity's comp can do. They can cancel out Choo Choo's almost entirely. As soon as he deathmarks in, he can get feared up and killed, and if the target that he deathmarked was low, Divine Intervention's there in order to stop the damage coming through. So, ridiculously well played by Team Immunity. Although, is that too much focus just on getting rid of this Zed?
Actually, I think the KO pickup is actually really, really smart, because take a quick look at AVA's team. What sort of AoE do they really have besides a Leona, a Lucian W, and a Ryze ultimate? They don't really have a lot. True. They have a lot of single target damage. KO can
there's
nullify.
the Solar Flare coming through. Crowstorm out the back though. Kadra taking a lot of damage. They do manage to take down Radiant in the meantime, and I don't know whether Venom is going to have enough here. The culling does come through. He's not going to be able to move quite fast enough. There is the Frost Queen's claim coming through. Carter taking a bit of damage, but Venom is going to be able to survive this one. Frost Queen's claim caught me completely by surprise. I was like, what? Where did that come from? There it is.
You're definitely seeing Venom taking the proper support of leave the support alive, leave the ADC to rot. A good idea.
Yep, definitely.
I can respect that.
That being said, Radiant has managed to pick up 4 kills this game, of course, out of the 9 that have already happened, almost at that 50% mark. Swiffer taking a lot of damage now, though. Deathmark does come through. Riftwalk over the wall. We'll see whether it's enough damage. Going to be even nearly no extra abilities being landed. And Swiffer now, the Divine Intervention is available. Choo Choo's does definitely get destroyed. Swiper now with his famous roams through this mid lane is going to be able to finish off Carbon, and they might be able to answer this with a turret as well. Now 5 members strong in this mid lane, 2 dead for Avant Garde Ascension. Where are they? I mean, they're slowly trying to collapse, but this outer turret is definitely dead.
That was a perfect rotation there by Immunity. All their team knew what was going to happen after that roam from Swiper. You can see a bit of
the
action
Solar Flare coming through, forcing the flash out of Venom there as well. The Zenith Blade coming through might be a little bit too exciting, because there's the Force Pulse. Gymnast going down. Sandra Sully now very, very low. It's very difficult to say rusty in these team fights, but they are going to survive under that turret. But those health bars very, very low. And another kill here being picked up by Team Immunity. They are playing so well, and with this weird team comp as well.
And it's definitely working out for them. They're using that. I gotta say, the KO seems to be the point of this comp. Really just deny that entire Zed. Kind of nullifies his whole, as you were saying, his whole existence, really.
Yeah, it's just, sorry Choo Choos, you're just going to do nothing this game. And it's up to Avant Garde Ascension's, just the rest of their lanes, in order to pick this one up and try and carry it along through him, because I just don't think that this Zed is really going to be doing all that much. Now 0-3-0 has finished off his Blade of the Ruined King, but this is not when you want to be hitting that power spike. You want to be able to hit it when the laning phase is still happening. You can roam down, you can really get those kills and get the snowball going through. And Choo Choo's just unable to do that. He has to force out these waves. He's trying to come into this top lane now. No, he's just trying to farm out these rates, trying to become relevant in this matchup. And it's a little bit depressing to see, because his Zed was so strong the last time we saw it.
And he definitely seems a bit out of his element now that he's not really in front of the other mid laner. Choo Choo's very, very aggressive sort of guy. Really likes to get in there. And he just seems a bit out of place.
Yeah, Swiffer now putting the damage down. That Force Pulse now starting to do so much. Solar Flare actually whiffing as well. Oh, the Deathmark in response. Dodging the Force Pulse. Does dodge the Zenith Blade, but Choo Choo's now with the shield available. There's the Laser Bird. We'll see whether Swiffer can try and get through. You can see the Vision Wars are coming as well. Swiffer does manage to land the the Rift Walk, and now it's Rusty. He's in so much trouble. He's definitely going to go down, and Radier here as well. Team Immunity just collapsing onto this mid lane.
And AVA making a lot of questionable decisions here. They're running out for these solo 2v2 sort of fights. It's not what they need.
Swiffer now with the Divine Intervention. Does manage to dodge out the extra damage coming through from Elise. Picks up the tower aggro as well. We'll see whether he's dived too fast. Wiper manages to finish off Carbon's kill after he comes down from Repel. We'll see whether anything else can come through here. The Fear knock range. There it is. Luke's flashing forward. Swiffer finishes that one off with a Null Sphere into the face of Cardred. And they're going to be able to easily try and get at least some damage down here. Choo Choo's does go and gets feared instantly. And this is the danger that we were talking about.
I'm not too sure what AVA can do to stop this push. I think they just need to keep this up. They can...
Swiper now taking a lot of damage. The Ignite is down, and there's Rusty finishing off that kill in response. Now Gymnast is at a very, very low health. Nice Solar Flare. Spook's getting completely stunned up from that one and forcing Immunity out. And wow, that Team Immunity's comp is just working perfectly right here.
Exactly. They're playing it perfectly, and they've drafted perfectly as well.
Yeah, and Swiper falling down does mean that it stops the push for now, but so much map pressure. As we can see, the inner turret has gone down here in this middle lane, opening up the base for Avant Garde Ascension. They are going to be able to potentially pick up this dragon. Yeah, of course, no response coming through from Team Immunity, so it's going to be another dragon going down on the side of Avant Garde Ascension. Team Immunity seems to have been just ignoring that one completely. 4 turrets now to 1. It's the turrets that Immunity want to be picking up.
Oh, the turrets and the kills, it seems.
Yeah, well, yeah, not to mention the kills. 5-0 and 4 now on the side of Swiffer. 0-5-0 Choo Choo's. Very, very sad for this Zed in this mid lane, and it seems to me that it's all about Team Immunity supporting this Kassadin pickup and baiting out the Zed pickup as well.
Exactly, and you gotta wonder, what can AVA really do right now? I think even if Immunity went for a really ill-advised Baron right now, they'd probably still come out ahead in a fight.
Well, there's the fact that Rat-a-tat or Spray and Pray is just so powerful in these Baron situations as well. If a team is filing towards you, you can get so much damage. Even then, it's difficult to come back for the... Oh, Carbon taking a lot of damage there here. Does manage to dodge out the Null Sphere, but when there's 3 members of Team Immunity trying to take your red buff, you're not going to be able to take it. And they're going to rotate around here to the top lane, try and take out this inner turret as well. And I think that Rusty might need to move the heck out of dodge. Meanwhile, though, we do have both bottom laners now meeting here in the mid lane, and Radio getting a lot of damage down. We'll see whether Avant Garde Ascension managed to rotate effectively. Rusty's here as well. He does manage to get a little bit of damage down here. The tower going down in the bottom lane and the top lane. Outer for inner, not the trade that Avant Garde Ascension want. And Radio is in a bit of trouble, but that ambush is available. Try and get him out of there.
And then Carbon doing a bit of a split push down bottom, getting a tower. But he's going to lose half the health on an inhibitor turret. Do you think that's worth it, Max?
I would say definitely not, in my book. Now, 5 turrets to 2, and not opening up any pressure on the map did Avant Garde Ascension, whereas this entire top half of the enemy jungle for Team Immunity is available, and is basically theirs at this point. Swiffer having to use that Rift Walk to get the heck out. Force Pulse not going to be able to connect, doesn't quite have the range of the Null Sphere. They're going to be able to finish off some wards, and the jungle of Avant Garde Ascension is now Immunity's.
Exactly, Immunity basically controls about 80% of the map right now. But they're leaving them their base because they're pretty kind.
Yeah, you can have your base for now. I think it's definitely a for now situation. As we can see, with the amount of vision that's here in the Avant Garde red side jungle, the Baron is an easy availability. Of course, Spook's doing so much damage to that as well. Just because he is Kale and those auto attacks, the sustained damage coming through, and Radier on top of it, just Blade of the Ruined King melting it down. That's going to be Baron Nashor going down in favor of Team Immunity, and now their siege becomes a whole lot easier because it's very, very difficult with Twitch just because he has that low range.
Exactly. And I think... I don't know what AVA can do anymore. I really don't know. It's going to be such an uphill battle.
Yeah,
come back from this.
I think uphill battle is definitely what we could mention, and I think Avant Garde Ascension circling the drain is another thing that we could say is fairly effective as far as a description. And with this Baron going down, we now have almost a 9,000 gold lead, 8,500 at this point. Looking very, very dangerous for
it's definitely looking
for Avant Garde. Yeah, but this is an upper bracket game, round 2 only, so we're going to have Avant Garde Ascension potentially moving down to the bottom bracket, and they can think about what's happened and potentially get it all together for the grand final, which could come through if they manage to get there after potentially defeating the rest of the opponents that do meet them down in that bottom bracket. Choo Choo's now in this bottom lane, has focused onto Spooks. The Divine Intervention was managed to get out. It seems to me like Choo Choo's wanted that one, but he's going to get locked up. The fear comes through. Swiffer is dominating right now, and I think that might have been a bait out, but he just didn't understand that all of immunity was there.
Even, I don't know, I think it was kind of obvious that their whole entire immunity team would have been there, other than Swiper. But I'm not too sure why he'd ult onto the KO when she clearly has ult up. I'm not too sure what he was trying to accomplish there.
Yeah, it did seem like a beta. I was trying to explain it in the best way that I could without saying that Choo Choo's just fed for no reason. But this top inhibitor turret is going to go down. Swiper managing to pick that one up, just ignoring the damage coming through from Rusty. Does have that Spirit Visage now completed. Not wanting to go for that Banshee Veil. Now Radiant. Carbon is going to get deleted. Does come down from the... Oh, Cardred. So much damage being taken, but Radiant does manage to finish him off in the end, and there is the Riftwalk mobility. Managing to get Swiffer over into taking down Carbon as well. Sandra Solly now taking a lot of damage. The Ignite is down. Swiper does blow the Blade of the Ruined King as well. Swiffer legendary now as the surrender vote does come through. Team Immunity taking out this round 2 match, bringing them one step further in this upper bracket, throwing down Avant Garde Ascension to the bottom bracket. And wow, Brad, that was just a dominating performance from Immunity.
That was almost a clean sweep for Immunity. They went in knowing what they wanted to do. And it was an under 25-minute game. I'm not sure you can really say much else about that.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. But we will be back with the next game very, very soon.